The strait narrows to a stone throat, and the sea begins to tremble. Odysseus stands at the prow, knuckles white on the rail, as 6 shadows coil above the cliff and a vast whirlpool yawns behind him. Salt stings his eyes. The deck shudders. A scream rises, cut short. Present tense now, the air splits, the monster descends, the abyss pulls. One heartbeat to choose. Will Cunning save him, or will doom take everything? Long had Odysseus wandered, from Troy's burning towers to the haunted shores of the dead. 10 years of war behind him, years of storm-tossed exile ahead. Home lay distant, Ithaca a fading star across the wine-dark sea. But prophecy clung to him like a shadow, and Circe's final warning echoed in his skull. 2 horrors awaited in the narrowing throat of the world. One, a devourer of men, the other, a drinker of the sea itself. His men rode on, unaware of the doom behind them. Circe had spoken with iron certainty, not safety, only the lesser ruin. Her counsel carved a harsh choice into his spirit. On one side lay Charybdis, the sea gulper, whose breath dragged whole ships into oblivion. On the other side waited Scylla, cursed and ravenous, destined to take 6 lives with perfect, merciless precision. His warrior's heart longed to fight, to defy the immortal terror lurking in the cliff's black throat. Yet he knew steel meant nothing against her curse. To challenge Scylla was to invite another strike, to watch more men vanish screaming into her cave. His mind became a battlefield of desire and duty. In the end, he chose survival over valor. The plan was grim as winter: steer close to Scylla, lose 6, but keep the many. He spoke softly to the crew as they readied the ship, hiding the storm inside him. Strengthen the oars and eyes forward. No mention of monsters. No whisper of sacrifice. Ropes tightened, blades secured, shields stacked like a silent forest. The men moved with weary discipline, unaware fate had already chosen 6 among them. At the mast, he murmured the command he would need before all chaos broke. Row, sons of Ithaca, row until the sea itself yields. When the last torch was doused and darkness claimed the deck, the wind shifted. A howl rose from the cliffs ahead. Scylla stirred. Odysseus had made his choice. The sea tightened beneath them as though some vast hand pressed from below. Charybdis's voice came first, a deep, thunderous inhalation, the ocean dragging toward her gaping maw. The ship lurched, timbers groaning. The crew froze, oars slipping. Terror moved through them like a cold wind. This was the lure, the dreadful magnetism of the abyss. Circe had warned him. Charybdis would command every eye, every instinct, every shred of courage. In that distraction, Scylla would strike. The strait had become a balance of nightmares. "Row!" he thundered. "Row!" Oars bit the water, the ship strained, Charybdis roared, the whirlpool widened, the cliff loomed, shadows moved. Hard to starboard! The prow swung, the abyss pulled harder, sweat poured, wood groaned, breath tore from their lungs. Odysseus braced at the prow with twin spears, knowing they would be useless, yet unable to stand idle. A hiss above, a streak of motion, 6 necks uncoiling from the cliff like living chains, a snap of teeth, a cry abruptly silenced, another and another. He spun, too slow, too human. Scylla lifted her prey toward the cave, their arms reaching toward him, fingers trembling with the last plea they would ever give. The ship tore free of the kill zone, fleeing the cliff's shadow. Behind them, the ocean still raged, the whirlpool gnashing for one more taste. Odysseus felt the transformation inside him, the death of another innocence, the birth of a harder man. Silence fell, except for the distant gnashing within Scylla's lair and the monstrous inhale of Charybdis behind them. There had been no victory, only survival, and worse, Scylla had known him. Her strike had been timed with cruel intelligence, as though she sensed his guilt, his relentless duty, his fear of failing those he led. The gods demanded a toll, and he had delivered it with his own hands. The strait widened again. The sea stilled, but Odysseus did not. The crew gathered like ghosts, their faces carved from grief. 6 empty spaces marked the cost, each one a wound that would never close. They watched their captain, expecting fury, despair, something to crack the mask he wore. But he remained carved from iron, speaking only to keep the ship moving. In their eyes, he had grown older by years in a single hour. He bore the cost alone. The screams clung to him. The men he lost were not nameless. They were friends forged in the fires of Troy, voices he had heard around 100 hearths. His heart felt like a battlefield after the clash, with only smoke rising. Leadership had stripped him again, taking its toll in blood and memory. Somewhere above, Scylla waited with hungering patience, destined to strike again if any ventured too near her cliff. In the quiet that followed, truth revealed itself not in words, but in the rhythm of the oars. What saved them had not been strength. Strength shatters against immortal curses. It was sacrifice, cold and unwilling. It was obedience, even under terror. It was the unity of men who rowed as one mind when the abyss beckoned. The sea had offered no mercy, no third path, yet the ship moved forward because they endured the shape of fate. The gods had set the trial, mortals had survived it together. Scylla lived, Charybdis churned, but Odysseus, hollowed yet unbroken, sailed onward into the thinning mist. History remembers him for cunning, for iron will, for 1,000 victories across wandering years. But that day, in the narrow strait, he learned a harsher truth. Some choices offer no triumph, only the will to endure pain without surrender, only the strength to walk forward with the weight of the dead behind you, and the knowledge that the gods do not soften their trials simply because the heart grows weary. Beyond the strait waited another trial, an island of quiet shores and immortal stillness. There, a lonely nymph with ageless eyes would test not his courage, but his longing for home. Calypso waited ahead, her paradise a velvet chain. Odysseus felt the echo of the strait behind him, the roar of the whirlpool, the sudden silence after the screams, the brutal clarity of the choice he had made. The sea stretched ahead, calm but inscrutable, holding secrets he had yet to face. And so he journeyed onward, unbroken but never unchanged, carrying the memory of 6 brave men and the shadow of 2 nightmares. Ahead lay temptation. Behind lay sacrifice. Between them walked Odysseus, cunning, battered, relentless, still carving his path through fate. Subscribe to Saga Weaver for more cinematic journeys through ancient warrior legends.